Are we on?
Turn that. You never turn that on.
No, we're good. Okay. Good afternoon. Oh, I am on. Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon again to some of you. Thanks for joining us this morning and a full day at West Plains campus. Today, President Smart and I are going to talk about the state of the university from our two different campuses, and Clif from the system, and have some other information I know that he'll want to share. Today I get to go first, so we're going to talk about the West Plains campus. Yes, it is our 60th anniversary year, or birthday, whatever you want to call it, and we continue to celebrate. And just to remind you where we've come from, can you see me up here? This is why I don't wear ties too often now. This is from 1963, and this is the first group of administrators and I guess instructors for that time, 1963. Kind of move along a little bit, few pictures from the past for you. So we've got a biology class during the day. We started in the high school with three classrooms at West Plains High School. That's where we started, and a little bit more there, library. Then we moved over to Kellett, and we actually have someone with us today, Neva Parrott, who remembers much of this. So Neva's the expert on this. So a few things, but I remember I was at this particular event in Kellett parking lot one afternoon. Used to have the snack bar in Kellett in the backside, kind of in the maze area these days where the kitchen is. And then a lot of folks there you might remember. This was the dedication, I think, of Drago College Store back in the day. You see Marv Looney over here, Russ Cochran, who's no longer with us. There's Carol. I see Carol. Janice Johnson. Who else we got here? Anyway, a lot of folks there. Many of them gone today. Moving on, you see a few faces. There's Teresa. I see Teresa. And then, yes, I'm over here. I'm the one with brown hair. I never taught on the side of the hillside except for that one day for the picture. So just. And this is during, I thought this was during the 50th anniversary, but this is actually before that. And Kent Thomas is down here. See Kent? So that was not the 50th. There's Mayor Evans right there. That was from the rooftop of Liebeier, I think shortly after it was probably completed. And then a few newer events. This was the dedication of Gone Hall, Dr. Bennett, Gone family, and then the dedication of Hass Dar. There's the Dars in the middle. See Shirley over here on the right. Clif someplace. Where's Clif? Where's over here, I think. Anyway, a lot of things have gone on in the last 60 years. And so the West Plains campus, there's a lot of things, a lot of aspects of the West Plains campus that a lot of people don't know. And so we'll continue to tell our story. That's part of what I have to do, but I want you to help do that too. So let's talk about kind of where we are today in 2023. Personnel, just an update. We have 41 full-time faculty. That may be the most we've ever had right this moment. So that's pretty cool. 96 full-time staff. Add to that, and we've got our 3 for advancement. 6 to 8 part-time staff, 7 to 8 per course. You can see there's a lot of student employees. Thankfully, we have a lot of student employees from Corps of Opportunity and work study. They play a big role in what we do. Average age, 51 years. I'm beyond that now, apparently. But that is not to make us all feel old, but it is to remind us that we're going to have some folks following us pretty soon. So succession planning and how do we keep this ball rolling and bringing in new talent, new skills, new ideas with us. And average years of service, 12 years and 7 months. Is that pretty good, Scott? Yeah? Okay. Yeah. Scott Scobie, by the way. Scott's our HR director from office.
1 year more than the average at Springfield campus.
Is that right? Okay. Good deal.
And 3 years older on the average than the staff at Springfield. So
yeah. We have a lot more experience. That's right. Wisdom, that's good. 7-county service area, that's what we've typically served, and even when we started back in 2023, but the numbers here and the percentages here have changed greatly, I would imagine. And so 68% of our students now come from the 7-county area. 27% come from other Missouri counties. I was really surprised by that. And good news with that. We have 5% from other states, 6 foreign countries. So some of that's our online programs, whether it's viticulture, enology, but also our LPN to RN program, which is growing by leaps and bounds. So that you'll only see that increase, I would imagine, with the success of that particular program. With that, continue to work closely with 23 school districts here in our service area, but that's even beyond that with dual credit throughout the state and other opportunities that we have. These are students. There's some duplicated numbers in all here, but Missouri, we have 1,692 students from Missouri. 7-county area, that's 1,207, so the bulk of that, again, being with that. Rest of Missouri, again, 56 counties. Amazing. Other U.S. states, 23, and other countries, 6. So this is a plot line of the last 60 years, since 1963. And you can see how enrollment has increased since the first 111 students in 1963. And kind of a slow directional, what's the word I want? Trajectory is the word, as we go up. But there's some key moments there, I think, that we need to pay attention to in our history of enrollment and how we've grown. And so one is the sports and housing, adding that in 1993, 1994, 1995 timeframe. And so Grizzly House went up, and we added our 2 sports at the time, so men's basketball and women's volleyball. And you can see from at that point, the enrollment increased for about, 7 years, 8 years? Pretty steep increases during that time. And we were wondering where was this going to go, what we were going to have to do. Then it kind of leveled off. We had 9/11, had a recession early in the 2000s, and kind of leveled off some things. Then it grew again, and we had a big spurt there in the middle to late 2000s. Then we had the Great Recession, as I guess it's called these days, and things kind of changed a bit. Kind of changed across all of higher education for the most part. And then we've kind of declined with that, kind of leveled off at some point. Our data got a little better, too. Angie's always, Dr. Totte's always reminding me to say this, but in that steep, right there, that steep decline between 14 and 15, is that what it was? We had employed attendance tracker, basically, and what we were doing to say, so are you truly in class or not? So we had students who were signing up, not coming to class, taking resources as they might then. And so Department of Education said, no, can't do that anymore. So that changed things. And so it was enrollment dropped quite a bit in that 1 year, simply because we were doing that. So it was the right thing to do, but it did affect our enrollment. Then we kind of flattened out. And then then we had pandemic. We're still, I think, dealing with the pandemic, but we had a drop there in the last 3 years, and that was on dual credit numbers. Still kind of trying to figure that out a bit. But this last slide, the focused program strategy, is, as many of you have heard me talk about, of why creating programs that would bring students to West Plains. Why would you come to West Plains when you could go someplace else? If you have a bunch of dual credit classes, why would you come to West Plains? Why don't you just jump over and go on to Springfield or Columbia or someplace else? And many of them still do, but we're trying to create those programs that would attract people here. So whether that's new academic programs, what we're doing in allied health, welding, agriculture, as we're looking forward to that, or student services programs like the Ascend program, serving our autistic students, or it's new sports, attracting students to that. All of that is meant as a focused program strategy. And so let's look at how that might have affected. We've got a little broken line there for some reason. But this is another important number, for us. In fact, it's more important than just head count to me. And this is our full-time equivalency enrollment. So the number of students would be going full-time, whether that's figured on 12 hours or 15 hours. Michael, is this 15? Yeah, based on 15 credit hours as a full-time student. And you can see how that's changed over since 1995, and we've grown, and really kind of a flat line. We did have an aberration here in the 2015 timeframe. But the back end here, you can see as we've continued to decline in that number since 2008, 2009. This is the first year that we've bounced the other way. And so we've gone from, over here at the end, from 1,016 in our FTE number back up to now 1,060. I hope, and I really want this to be, but we'll see how it plays out. That's because of what we're doing with our focused programs, of being able to turn the line there the other direction. Enrollment by student group. So here's another, have you seen this before? Our top line, the dotted line, is head count. Again, all students, dual credit no matter what, is included in that line. And then the blue line, the grizzly blue line, you can see how it's declined. But again, over here, we start to see a bump up. So this is this is the degree seeking line. We would say these are the traditional college students coming here full-time or near full-time. And so that has increased. We hit a bottom here of 882, and then we're now back up to 906. Not a huge jump, but at least it's an increase. And then you can see how this problem area back in 2021 has kind of changed, but that's only because dual credit has declined. So at one point, again, we had more dual credit than we had degree-seeking students. That was a concerning moment for most of us. So again, continuing to watch that situation. Student age. So this doesn't look like it's changed much with that. You can see our maximum age and how that's changed, and depends on who pops in to a class. Our average age has gone from 26 in 1995 down to 21. So we're still now much more of a traditional age campus than they ever were. But it's been relatively flat. While that's maybe good in some ways, for a two-year campus trying to reach, to address the educational needs of its area, I'm not sure that's a good thing. We need to have more students, more non-traditional students. We need to be attracting more of the older students looking to change careers, wanting additional training, something like that. So we are somehow missing the boat on there, and I think we're going to have to pay attention to that as in our enrollment strategies as we move forward. ACT scores, just a update kind of on that. One, the number of students taking the ACT continues to kind of drop. ACT is not necessarily needed as much anymore. But as far as the minimum and the maximum, not a whole lot of change there. We're still in the 30s as far as our maximum. On that average, about the same, 19.7 for that. Retention rate, first time new in college retention rate. This is a really concerning point for us. And I even put it in red at the end. We had a 15% drop in there. That's still not confirmed data yet, but that's what it looks like. So we went from our highest of 63% between fall 21 and fall 22 to 49% in fall 22 to fall 23. Our success coaches, Mark and Vicki and others, have been calling some of those students who did not return just to ask what's up with that. And one of them, let's see, I guess the most often cited reason is it's costing me too much. Inflation, whether that or housing or whatever it might be, might be a part of that. Vicki, is that a fair? Yeah. So we'll continue to connect with those students. Hopefully they'll come back. But that's a big drop. That's a big drop for us, and we've got to pay attention to that. That hurt us on the overall enrollment, really, when it came down to it. Graduation transfer rates, these are not completely confirmed for this year yet because we'll have to get that from the National Clearinghouse, but continue to do fairly well. So we've, around the 50% mark, and while we'd like to do better with that. So these are students who either have graduated or have transferred, perhaps without graduation, onto the Springfield campus or wherever it might be. So again, our numbers for 2023 are not yet known for that. Degrees and certificates, we're still in the upper 200s. We've been at 300 before, so we'll continue with that. This, I think, is an interesting chart that I just threw in here in terms of how we're doing. A+ program is a big thing for us. And not only does it bring students to us, but if you look at the purple line, or whatever that is right there, you can see that A+ students have a higher retention rate with us than first time new in college, and has always been the case. A+ makes a difference. The Pell Access program that Springfield campus has will make a difference, I think, in terms of that. And so it is, they realize that's a good program. That it's an opportunity they may not have. And so we need to continue to promote that program in our schools. With that graduation rate, there's even a bigger difference between the first time new in college and A+. So if you look at the end over there on 2020, the latest on graduation rate, A+ students far, as far as percentages go, far outdistance the FITNIC. This looks like one of those hurricane maps, with all the models. So this is our programs of focus. So this isn't every program that we have on campus, academic program, but these are 5 of our more popular and ones where students are attracted to most, I suppose. The red line is nursing, and so nursing faculty, take a bow. You've had 100% graduation rate for 3 years running now. 100% graduation rate. That's right. That doesn't mean 100% of them showed up for graduation. That's not what that means. That means when they started with us, they graduated with us. And I would say at least 100% of those students already had jobs before they even graduated. I know we had a 100% pass rate for the NCLEX this past cohort.
For the regular check.
For the regular class. Okay. Yeah, we'll be specific. Yeah, I was always picking out the good thing. Yeah. Where's the good part of that?
95%.
Yeah.
But for the total.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still up there, guys. Good job. And then some of our other programs, elementary education is kind of an interesting line. That's the green, the lime green, and so it's kind of bounced around a lot. Graduation rate kind of did not do so well last year. Business still kind of flat. Agriculture. So we have some work to do in some of those programs of focus in terms of graduation rate. Enrollment is kind of interesting to me this year. You can see the lime green one, again, that's teaching, if you're going to go into AA in teaching, elementary education in particular. And so it is, it's kind of had some years of downward trends, and now it's kind of creeping back up for the last 2 years there. Our nursing continues to be high there as well, and we'll be adding more students to that with approvals we expect in the next year or two. Business, again, some years of decline there, but bounce back up. So we've gone from 58 students in that particular program now 84 after 2 years, so that's good to see. And agriculture had a nice jump from last year to this year, from 45 to 73 in terms of enrollment in that particular program. Welding over here, we still follow the welding as still a new program. So this year we have a day program and then an evening cohort, and excited about adding that. Registered apprenticeships, it is, the reason I threw this in here is because it is a way of getting students into college, seeking programs that give them a working skill almost right out of either a certificate or a 2-year program, they can get that paid for. Oftentimes, they are already working, and so our industry partners are becoming increasingly interested in how this works. And so it's not just in the traditional hard manufacturing, if you will. It's also in other aspects, in allied health, even in education, a variety of things. So we continue to work in this area. I want to thank Garland Barton in particular for helping us with this and obtaining money to make this work. He's been a big help this year with all that. Action plan, so things that we're focused on this year. Accreditation, so my gang, November 6th and 7th. Okay, you need to be on your best behavior. So the HLC team will be here. Site visits. So you guys have worked on our self-study. Thank you for doing that. I want to thank Lee. Lee's in the back hiding. She's probably still checking that self-study. I don't know. Is it due Monday? Yes. But they're coming, and they will want to visit with you. You just lay it out, guys. Tell it like it is. This is what it is. This is what we have. We'll visit with students and faculty and staff. President Smart's going to be down. Missy and Missy Gorley. I'm sorry, I didn't introduce folks here. I should do that. I'll do that in a minute. Missy will be here in person, and then 2 of our other board members will be joining us via Zoom. Important time. Okay, so this gives us the credentials to operate. If we don't have this, we might as well all go home. So this allows financial aid to come to our students. This allows us to continue to operate as we do as a public institution, and it's an important thing. So, yeah, I want to thank Lee for a lot of work making this happen. Recruitment and retention, we'll continue to focus on our niche programs, our focused programs, and developing those in many different ways, and looking for new ways with that. Retention efforts, you see a lot of things that we've identified. No silver bullet to that. I really don't think there's any silver bullet to that. But I think we've got the right people in place and the right ways of doing that. But we just need to be a little more concerted. That can go across all offices. The way you interact with someone, with a student, can make a difference whether they're going to come back the next semester or not, truly. And not that you have to give in for everything they want, but how do you treat them and the experience that they have. So it does make a difference for us. Residential student housing, everybody wants to know what's happening with that. I don't know anything. The story is we're still interested. Let me start over. Our number one thing here, guys, as it says is to put all of our residential housing in one place. We want to have a comprehensive program. We want more activity, more engagement on campus, and so to us, to the administrative team, that means having everybody at the lofts or having them in some other kind of facility that we might be able to construct in the future. So this continues with different paths. If the lofts would come available, we would go there now. We would, and we put everybody there and continue operating and taking everybody out of the hotel. We know that's not ideal. It's not what we wanted to do, but it's what we had to do. But if the answer is that's not going to happen for whatever reason anytime soon, we're going to be prepared to move a different direction. And so we'll see. I think we're going to have maybe some direction on that within, we'll say within the month, and we'll go from there. But I'll keep you informed, keep you in tune about what's going on with that. But that's an important part of what we do too. Again, other academic programs, looking at agriculture now, focusing there with vet tech, vet assistant programs, equine therapy being another one down the road, in ag and other aspects of what we might be doing there. So we anticipate a nice gift of a farm to make that happen, where we can land. And so when that happens, we're going to celebrate loudly. That's going to be a really big thing for us and for our program, for our students, and I think for community as well. Wanting to do other things. Obviously, want to connect with the Springfield campus more and that transfer program for our students, laying out that path. We'll continue to look at career and technical programs that make sense for our area. Not everything makes sense, and we're not going to do everything, but it needs to work. It needs to be sustainable for us, and it needs to have students, and it needs to get students get jobs that are local and good paying kind of things. Facilities. Yeah, we just dedicated the GAML simulation lab just today, and that was a lot of fun. If you haven't noticed, we started taking out a street over here between Liebeyer parking lot and the bell tower. So Franklin is going to go away. If you had great affection for Franklin, we'll get you a piece of asphalt, I guess. But we're going to take it out from Maine all the way over to Webster, and so that will be gone at some point whenever the Ascend building is completed. And then all that will be landscaped. We'll have new walkways and other things, and it'll look. You'll never know it was. Franklin was there, I guess. But the Ascend building is the important part of that. We will have a formal groundbreaking ceremony on November 7th. And at 3 p.m. You all are invited to that. We'll make sure everybody knows. And so that's going to be a nice building for us. There it is. I forgot I had it up there. It's kind of unique, especially designed for our autistic students and for a student center for them. And there's other programs that we're offering there. Our AAT with a focus in autism for paraprofessionals in particular, and then an AA in psychology for those who might want to go on beyond here and study autism and working in that area. So anyway, it's going to be a very cool building. Hats off to Senator Carla Esslinger. Gang Carla went to bat for us 2 years in a row. And this guy over here went to bat for us too, just this summer. So he can tell us about that. Anyway, it's going to be a $10.5 to $11 million building. It costs a lot to build something these days, but it's a unique building too. A lot of private donors, some focus here in particular areas, and then we're also going to announce the naming of the program, of the Ascend program. So we've had a donor who has provided enough money and very, very interested in what we're doing that in order to be able to name the building. So more about that. Athletics, baseball, yes, everybody is excited about baseball, men's baseball. By the way, the number of men on campus enrolled went up this year after declining for 62 years. So I don't know if that has anything to do with women's softball or not. I don't know. We're not sure what happened with that. But we have more men on campus, which is cool. That's all right. Next fall, we'll have 30 to 40 more men on campus who want to play baseball. And obviously you're thinking, wait a second, where are they going to live and how are we going to do that? I know. But we're excited about that. Coach Tharp is already working, recruiting out and about, and I think he's going to be good for our overall program. No matter what. Also looking at a rodeo program that would connect with our ag program, academic program. We'll see if that happens this year or next year. And then there's some other things that we're looking at. So again, that's an enrollment-driven kind of idea. I like sports, but I really like higher enrollment. So we're seeing what makes sense, again, for us and what can we do, and a lot of private help. So the monies to hire Coach Tharp here, this first year without any students coming in, came from private monies, raised from a lot of people, 40 to 50 people, I think, supplying upwards of $100,000 to make that happen for us. So thank you, all of that. About done. Resources, continue to look at working with the state, working with through appropriations, and this Clif might have more to say on this. This might be the last year of good-sized amount of money available for higher education. We'll see how the economy goes, but we've been blessed the last few years, and I think we've been able to take advantage of a lot of opportunities for the campus and putting some things together for us. This year, too, on budget. So one of the things that our budget committee, admin and our budget committee, will be looking at is a 2 to 3 year model. We'll see how this develops. What I really would like to have is have a longer view of our budget in order to plan. As we're adding new programs, when do they come on? What's the amount of money going to be required for that in all its different ways? What's the revenue coming in because of that? So if we're adding sports or adding new programs, then what's the effect on the budget? So we've got to know that. And to me, we got to know it 2 to 3 years ahead of time. So working through that. May not look real pretty and tidy this year, but we hope to begin that process. And then system coordination, it's vital for us. And sometimes I get comments from the community, why don't you just sever that tie? You have no idea. We would not survive. That was some things we could do. I'm not sure where the money would come from, but there's some things that we could do, sure. But there's a lot of things that we could not do well or at all. And, Scott's here, and I'm picking on you today, Scott. Scott handles HR. We'd have to have our own HR department, and there's a lot of pieces to that. So could we handle that? I don't know. So there's a lot of different aspects of what the system does for us, and so very appreciative of them. And I think with President Smart's encouragement, and I think with our team's receptiveness, we've been able to build some new bridges and strengthen some bridges over the last few years, and I'm very, very proud of that, and I think it has helped us overall with things. So again, as you hear me say anymore, our ultimate concern must be student success. It has to be student success. So it's not about building buildings. It's not about adding new sports and new programs. All of that connects, okay? But if we lose sight of why we're here, then it's just not going to work. It'll sound artificial, and we won't do our best. And we have always been, since 1963, about focusing in on that student. Our students, our regional students, those who are here and who might not go anywhere else, not be able to go to college at all if it wasn't for us. And we can't forget that. And so that student sitting out in front of Liebauer, that's the reason we're here. For her, for him, whoever it might be, wherever they might come from, whoever they are, whatever they look like, whatever their needs are, that's why we're here. And it takes a lot of time. Sometimes a lot of money, that's okay too, all right? We will do our best as we try to serve them. So what's the future hold? Have no idea. I'm not even sure about next week, to tell you the truth. I think I'll be here. It's up to Clif. So at 2038, so that's our 75th anniversary. Many of you will still be working. I probably won't, just to let you know. So what's going to, what's that going to look like? That's not that far away. And then if you look at our 100th birthday, and so Dakota's going to wheel me in, he said. I'll be 101.
I'll be 71.
And he'll be 71. He'll still look like he's 18. You hope. That would be good, wouldn't it? Anyway, it's and I know I'm sounding reflective now, but so I am 61 years old, and I remember going to Kellett Hall when I was, 12 or 13 years old, and it kind of creeped me out, to tell you the truth. It was dark, and I think Carroll's museum was there, and there was mannequins, and it's like, what is going on of things? But I knew there was something special about that. Later, as I got older, and I worked for the Quill, and so it was Kellett and Looney Hall, and that was all that to me all that long ago. That was 31 years ago, and when we only had Kellett and Looney and part of Garnett, maybe. That's all we had. And so in 30 years, what's transpired? And that's because of a lot of you, a lot of community help, and our community partners. They know who they are, and thank you for all of that. But we've come a long way, baby. We have. So anyway, celebrate this year and celebrate who we are. So I think that's it for me. We'll turn that over to President Smart.
Perfect. Thank you, Dennis, and thank you all for being here to listen to what will be my last State of the University address in West Plains. Not my last time to West Plains. As Dennis says, I'll be here next month when the Higher Learning Commission is here, and several more times after that, but this is the last time I'll do one of these talks. So my plan today is to do about a 25-minute talk highlighting achievements of the last 12 and a half years. That's how long I've been the system president at Missouri State, and share some census data from the Springfield campus from last week. And then at the end, Dennis and I are happy to take questions on any topic, but then at the end I want to spend a few minutes focusing on the search for the 12th Missouri State University president and getting your input on that. So let's get started. As I look back over my time as president of the university, I'm really proud of many things that we've accomplished together. Neither campus is at the same place it was when I began this job on June 27th of 2011. Dennis focused appropriately on this campus. I'll focus primarily on the Springfield campus in my remarks, although many of the achievements I mention will impact both campuses, and I'll point some of that out. On the top of the list for me is right here, obtaining the status as a professional doctoral university. That was a major challenge. That impacts the profile of the entire system, all campuses. To get that done, we had to first get a law change. That was a 3-year process that was achieved in 2019. Then we had to convince the coordinating board over the strenuous objections of the University of Missouri folks and the Higher Learning Commission that we had earned it. And we achieved those goals last year. So this year, this fall, on Springfield campus, we have our first Doctor of Psychology cohort starting. Next year, I hope we'll have our first Doctor of Education cohort starting. Those are critical for workforce needs in our communities. People that want to be school superintendents, administrators in college or community college or K-12 need that credential. We have a huge shortage of mental health counselors. We need clinical psychologists. Those are specifically related to workforce needs in our state and in our part of the state. And we no longer have to ask permission from our friends up north to start and deliver those programs. And frankly, it changes the system for the better. We have other academic achievements that are on this slide, including the complete reorganization of our academic structure, which should be finished by the end of this academic year. Our provost, the dean's team, and those who are serving on work groups have done really good work here. It impacts the alignment of programs here, and so Dr. Orff and his team are involved in this work that's going on. There's more to be done this year, and they know I'm not leaving until it's finished, and so it has to get done, and it will be. On the Springfield campus this year, our enrollment was back. But in my tenure here, we have hit record undergraduate, graduate, international system, and underrepresented student enrollment records. You know, that's important because the more students that go to college that receive credentials and degrees, the more lives are changed for the better. Enrollment also funds both campuses of the university and provides talent for our workforces all around the state and region. Just as here, the last few years have shown some backwards movement in some of these categories because of the pandemic. You know, there are 2 million fewer people in college at the fall of this year than there were the fall of 19 before the pandemic began. And so the fact that both of our campuses have turned those numbers around this year is a big thing. Census data became final last week, and so we know these numbers are good. This next slide shows you that we count enrollment essentially 2 ways. Like, you know, a lot of times you will hear us talk about head count. That's numbers. How many students of any kind are in your programs? We don't double count people, but we count someone taking one class, someone taking a whole degree program, somebody auditing a class, dual credit students, everyone, right? So that head count is important. But credit hours really drives enrollment or drives revenue, right? Because credit hours translates into money the university uses to operate. Springfield campus, we are up I'll focus on four categories on this next slide particularly. Headcount overall, we were up 917 students, back over 24,000 students. Our freshman class had tremendous growth, up 22%, or 504 students. We hit a graduate enrollment record for the 7th year in a row, and our underrepresented population grew as well. This next chart shows, Dennis had a similar chart. This is our headcount chart since, I think it starts in 1994, but there's a dot in 2011, which was my first year. And so starting in 2011, you'll see we had 7 growth years in a row, followed by 3 years of stable enrollment, followed by 2 years of decline centered around the pandemic. As I said, we're back above 24,000 students again. This is our 3rd largest enrollment in our history. Turning enrollment around was our #1 priority last year, and we succeeded because so many people on both campuses made it a priority. Now we have to build on that success, and we can do that here, and we can continue to do that on the Springfield campus as well. On the Springfield campus, we got back to closer to where we should be on retention. The dotted line there, goal of 82.8% is the goal set by the Board of Governors that we are shooting for in 2 years. But we hit our highest number ever. You see, the pandemic took a lick out of us for 2 years, and we're now back 79.3%. That's our best first to second year retention number ever. Frankly, it's going to be hard to move that number up given the growth in first generation and Pell eligible students, but it must be a priority. If we're not graduating our students, there is little point in recruiting them. And so many efforts are underway on both campuses to provide the support students need to be successful. Throughout my tenure, we have maintained our status as the most affordable large university in our state and region. That's been a board priority the entire time I've been here because almost all of our students come from working and middle-class families, and cost is important. Maybe the most important factor, not just in deciding where they go to college, but deciding if they will go to college. And while our competitor up north drastically raised tuition this year, we stayed below inflation, CPI, yet again. We instituted the Most State Access Scholarship, making it possible for Pell-eligible Missouri residents to attend the university paying nothing for tuition and fees. And that increased revenue because those students bring federal and state aid with them. This scholarship gave us this distinct advantage in recruiting this year and will be an advantage for years to come. But it also changes the makeup of our freshman class, making our focus on retention even more critical, as I mentioned earlier. Note, if you are a Pell-eligible student going to Missouri State West Plains and using A+ to pay for that, you can transfer to Springfield campus, and the Most State Access will essentially replace your A+. You will pay nothing for tuition and fees to continue your education in Springfield. Next slide shows that we achieved record state funding, state appropriations this year, and that's true of each of the last 4 years. Those records were all achieved under Governor Parson, and his focus on workforce development and understanding that higher education is a part of that has been significant. As we think about facilities, frankly, never thought we would be able to renovate Temple Hall. That's the building that houses most of our science programs. It was built in 1971 and was significantly out of date. I never thought we'd be able to do anything with that because it was just going to be too expensive. But the last 2 years, we were able to raise $135 million in federal and state funding through relationships built with Senator Blunt, with Governor Parson, with State Senator Lincoln Huff, State Senator Carla Esslinger to fund the complete expansion and renovation of what we now call Blunt Hall. begin the renovation of Cheek Hall, and do additional renovation on Camp Peter Hall. I'll get to come back in 2.5 years and see all of our science facilities completely renovated, state-of-the-art, and providing the services and laboratories necessary for great learning. We've also set records in external funding. That means both fundraising, when the foundation raises money, all money folks give for this campus goes to the foundation, and so that's included in these numbers. We've set records for research grants and contracts. We've completed our largest 2 campaigns in the history of the university under my tenure, and as Dennis talked about, many of those gifts were earmarked for this campus. And unlike so many universities, if you all track this, as I do, we are financially sound. We've balanced every budget during my tenure. We've reduced our debt. We've refinanced our debt so that we actually make money on our debt now. We filled a hole left by the John Q. Hammond's default on the gift at Great Southern Bank Arena, and we have the largest reserve fund in our history. We've also worked to make progress on becoming a more diverse and inclusive university. That's true on this campus as well as the Springfield campus. If we look at the next slide, you'll see that Student African American Brotherhood, which is a national organization with some 300+ chapters, is now headquartered in Springfield on our campus, and we are committed to doing this work. Our campuses do not look or feel the same as they did 12 years ago. Dennis pointed that out. He talked about a 30-year difference. This slide talks about some of the buildings that have been added or renovated on our campus. We could have had a similar slide for this campus during the last 12 years. If we think about what's here that wasn't here 12 years ago. Gone Hall, our Student Recreation Center. This building, Hastar Hall, that houses the Carol Silvey Student Union. Pace Industrial Science Center. We didn't even have technical programs. Now they're centered at the Pace Industrial Science Center. Gamble Simulation Lab that we dedicated today. The Fowler Lecture Hall added to the other side of that building. And you saw pictures of an amazing state-of-the-art Ascend Student Success Center that we've broken ground on and should be completed in about 15 months. Not only do these facilities on both our campuses help recruit better students, faculty, and staff, it helps us provide the education they need and want and the services to help make them successful. Student success, as Dennis said, on both campuses drives this work. We've benefited from public-private partnerships. Most recently, we signed a partnership with Cox Health, OTC, Springfield Public Schools, and Missouri State University to form the Healthcare Alliance to work on doubling the amount of healthcare workers that we're able to produce. There's a tremendous shortage, not only here, but all over our state and nation, and we aim to be a significant part of helping fill that gap. Downtown, through our work at Idea Commons, we have literally created thousands of new jobs and lead the region in economic development and entrepreneurial efforts. And finally, we led the university successfully through the pandemic. Dennis actually took his job in the middle of the pandemic. Reopening both campuses for residential students in the fall of 2020 without anyone losing their jobs. You all remember 2020 and 2021 were hard years for all of us. Thank you all for going beyond what was required again and again to help our students be successful during this very difficult time. You know, there's more work to do in my last 9 months at the helm, but my point of sharing all this with you, besides hoping you feel pride in our university, is to make it clear that we should be able to attract excellent candidates to become the 12th president of Missouri State University. We're in great shape, enrollment-wise, financially, with the programs we're able to offer, with new facilities, and there is continued potential to build on the good work that has been done these last 12+ years. So I want to talk about that a little bit. So this is a picture, this is a list of the committee that will lead that work. It is led by a Missouri State alum, successful businessman, former bank president, Rob Fulp. Rob has been the CEO of several banks and is now the #2 person at Great Southern Bank. He was our executive in residence at the College of Business for 2 years before taking his current position. He's also been a trustee of the University Foundation, chair of the College of Business Executive Advisory Committee, chair of the board at Cox Health, the biggest employer in Springfield, where he personally led the successful search for their new CEO a year and a half ago. You are represented on that committee by Crockett Oates, who's here, and who I promise you is taking notes on what we're going to be talking about. The search will be staffed by these 3 capable people. They are Rachel Dockery, who's our general counsel, Suzanne Shaw, who is Vice President for Marketing and Communications, and Rowena Stone, Board Secretary. They have all been involved in multiple searches, led those search committees, staffed those search committees, and they are very capable of staffing and helping lead this search committee. The board decided not to hire a consulting or recruiting firm to help in the search for 2 reasons. Frankly, our experience with them recently has not proven very successful, and we have capable people to do it in-house at little cost. So, question everybody asks, when is everything happening? That's usually top of mind, and so got a timeline on the board here. We've already hit a couple of milestones. I announced my retirement on September 6th, and I will work through this academic year into next summer, probably end of June, middle or end of July. The presidential search website went live on that date. And the application window opened for people to apply for the system president job on that date as well. The board approved the search committee 2 weeks later on September 20th. And here we are today to talk in more detail about the search and also to provide an opportunity for input from you on what you would like the next president to bring to the table for the system as a whole and for this campus in particular. November 1 is the first day of consideration, which means the search committee will begin to review applications and narrow down the number of applicants into a smaller pool of semifinalists sometime in early November. We expect that to be 8 to 12 candidates, but it depends upon the number and quality of people in the pool. Once the search committee finalizes a semifinal list, the committee will meet with them in person to conduct interviews. They'll also check references, both on and off list, and based on the interviews and the references, narrow the pool down to 2 to 4 finalists that they will bring to campus, both campuses, Springfield and West Plains, stopping in Mountain Grove on the way down or on the way back, for 2-day interviews. We anticipate that that will be likely in January, early February. Since the hiring is the responsibility of the Board of Governors, the search committee's role is to present a qualified slate of finalists for the board to meet, interview, and make their hiring decision. The search committee doesn't hire the president. The search committee doesn't rank the candidates. The search committee presents the final list of candidates to the board, and the board takes it from there. You know, you look at our board bylaws, the board of any organization, their #1 job, hire, fire, evaluate, and set the compensation for the CEO. And that is true here, and that is what our board will do, and they are up to that task. We have a very sophisticated and engaged board who have been engaged in similar kind of work and care about our university and all of our campuses, and I'm confident they will make a great decision. I'm not involved in that. I don't get to pick the next president. That's the board's job. As you can see from the timeline, this is scheduled to take place beginning in November and ending in March. The search committee will be working hard to meet these deadlines that we've set for the board. There are a lot of president positions open. Just in our athletic league alone, Illinois State is open, Indiana State is open, Youngstown State is open. There are many open positions, and the board wants to act aggressively and be on the front end of hiring so that we make sure we get the candidate they think best suits us. All right, next slide. So, how many people have gone to the search website? Okay, not very many. You can do it, right? We have a search. How do you find it? Well, you can go to the home page and there's a button. Right, that third one. View the presidential search. Click on that, one click, and you are there. That gets you there. It also appears as a menu item under About Missouri State. You can also access it by the president's page, or you can just go to the search bar and type in presidential search, and you will get there. I would encourage you to do that. And the reason, besides seeing everything, besides seeing the timeline and the job description and search committee again and all of that, you can fill out a survey that asks what's important to you. The survey is up through October 11th. So that'd be a good thing to do this weekend. Check out the search page, fill out the survey, give us your input. It'll all be summarized and presented to the search committee as well as the Board of Governors as we work through this process. Or you can just send a message to presidentialsearch@missourustate.edu with your feedback. But you can also give us your thoughts today. So this next slide, just got a couple of thought questions. What attributes, skills, and experiences do you believe Missouri State's next president should have? What qualities of the university and the city of Springfield, and the city of West Plains, do you believe would motivate strong candidates to join our team? So I'd like to start here. If people would like to share thoughts about the search process, about the kind of president you think would be important to this campus, to the system as a whole. Again, as we say, we've got 2 board members and a search committee member here, and they would love to hear your thoughts. And so I'm going to stop there and just say, hey, if you have thoughts that you'd like to share or questions you'd like to ask, stand up and talk to us. After we do this, we'll move into if you have questions of Dennis and me on any other topic. So happy to start. Search process, next president of the university. Really does matter who your president is, promise. Thoughts? Yeah.
Probably someone who has the interest of both campuses in mind, like, there's Springfield and then there's West Plains. Having a president that cares about West Plains is also pretty important.
I think that's right. I certainly thought that was important for me, right? That I needed to be here 6 to 8 to 10 times a year, to know the people that were here, to engage with them, to help connect academic units here to academic units at Springfield, to make sure IT is working together. I think that's important. And I suspect if we did a show of hands on that, every hand in the room would raise, right? Because the system president's job is to run the Springfield campus, but it's also to run the system as a whole. And that's why I think it's important that your 8th District Governor is here, as well as that you're represented on the search committee. Thanks for sharing that. Other thoughts? Okay, so again, you may not want to share your thoughts in front of all your friends. I get that. So the best way to do that is to go to the survey. It's a short survey. You can do it, I suspect, in 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how much input you want to do. But I would encourage you to do that. That thought that was just raised, that would be a helpful thought to include in the survey. Hey, the system president needs to be engaged with West Plains, know the donors and alums and employees and students that are here, regularly visit the campus, help to connect services together, and to represent the system as a whole. That's an important thought. I would encourage you to share that and other thoughts on the survey, because they're going to get read by the people making this decision. All right. So before we go for coffee and cookies, other questions or thoughts that you would like to share? Dennis, come on back up. That you'd like to ask or like to share with either Dennis or me this afternoon? Dennis, everyone is happy about everything. Isn't that fabulous? I love that. Really, again, you share good things as well. How's the semester going? Good? I get a thumbs up there. Very good. Any thoughts anyone would like to share before we wrap up?
I've been in a smart aleck mood all day. So,
Go ahead.
I'm just going to say, your comments made it sound like anybody could run for president, and I know that's not true. But I thought, hey, I'll go. You guys so sad. But I'm teasing. But it sounded like congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a good time. Someone might say, why are you leaving now? Well, I'm 63 years old. We've accomplished much of the things that I set out to accomplish. I committed to the board when I took the job to stay here 10 years, and I will have stayed 13. It's been the honor of my life to have this position. I've enjoyed coming to work every single day, except for about 3 months at the beginning of the pandemic. I was not a big fan of that. And we leave the university better than we found it. And we've got a great team in place, I think, when we finish this year, to take it to the next level on both campuses, given the work that's going on. I feel really good about about the decision and where we are as a university. You look around the country every day, you read the Chronicle or you read Inside Higher Education, and you see this university's eliminating 14 programs. This university's cutting $10 million out of their budget. Heck, the flagship university in West Virginia is cutting $60 million out of their budget. And we have the highest reserves we've ever had. We made it through the pandemic without losing a single job, and we're growing again, and things are good. People are going to want to come here, and that's a good position to be in, and that's a good time to step down before everybody's ready for me to step down, and transfer it on. I think a new voice will be a good thing for all of us as we look to continue that trajectory. All right, with that, Dennis, any final comments?
We have brownies, too.
We have brownies and cookies at the back. I can only stay for a few minutes because we've got a Maroon Nation ball tonight that starts at 6 o'clock, and my wife will be unhappy if I'm not there to take her. And so I'm going to be heading back to Springfield. We've spent the day here for the GAML simulation dedication and lunch with great donors. We had a great visit with Senator Esslinger this morning, who truly is a great asset for this community. And she's excited about the legislative session that's coming out. Again, thank our Board of Governors members for being here today. If you have not met Dr. Gorley, who just retired as a veterinarian, please meet her today. She is here because she wants to effectively represent this campus in all the conversations that will be happening in the next several months. Again, go Bears.